There are few pairs of people that can spark a chemistry that's so intoxicating it can feel like an addiction than a super empath and a narcissist. When their worlds collide, the super empath's kind-hearted and giving nature, paired with the narcissist's love bombs of grand romantic gestures and empty promises, their romance can be described as a whirlwind of lust and passion. However, once the initial attraction and love bombing phase has ended, the couple will find themselves on a battlefield of mind games instead of a sturdy foundation building towards a healthy relationship. What about a super empath and a greater narcissist? If you're wondering what a greater narcissist is, don't worry. Put simply, a greater narcissist is a narcissist who is self-aware of their condition and of their manipulative tendencies. This of course makes a lesser narcissist, in contrast, a narcissist who is not aware of their narcissistic traits. Whether a greater narcissist has become aware of their traits through a diagnosis, or if they simply grew up with a high sense of self-awareness, it makes them distinct from lesser narcissists because their behaviors are more controlled and calculated. That's why today's video is the super empath versus the greater narcissist. But we have a very special surprise for you today. We at Psychology Element decided to take advantage of the greater narcissist's self-awareness and reached out to a greater narcissist ourselves to gain a deeper insight into their relationships with super empaths. To protect his identity, we'll refer to him as the anonymous narcissist. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the interview with the greater narcissist, or if you'd like to hear more content from diagnosed individuals. Let us know in the comments below. Alright, let's get started. Let's begin with a little background about the anonymous narcissist. We connected with the anonymous narcissist through a mental health community which he requested to remain private. 4 years ago, he was diagnosed by a registered psychiatrist who diagnosed him with narcissistic personality disorder. When I connected with him, I was surprised by his warm, near charitable, and helpful nature. He was excited to do an interview for our channel. When I asked him, "Why did you agree to help us?" I was shocked by his answer. He replied with, "I see a lot of information about narcissism online, say from Quora or Reddit, that seems to be heavily influenced by the media or movies. It's not an accurate representation of how this pathology really impacts people." Well, we were happy he decided to share his experiences with narcissism with us because we learned a lot from his insight and we're thrilled to share it with you. Now, let's analyze the relationship. First, there's an initial attraction. Super empaths are distinct from regular empaths due to their core identity, high self-esteem, and inner strength. It's for these reasons that a super empath is initially attracted to a narcissist. The narcissist is still trying to make a good impression, their charisma, fake confidence, and deceptive mask of kindness. Despite the fact that the person the narcissist presents is all a lie before the super empath catches on, they see some of themselves in them. We asked the anonymous narcissist, "What is it about super empaths that you find attractive?" He gave a small laugh at the question before answering. "I'll tell you what traits or mannerisms are desirable in a woman, in my eyes. Warm, soft-spoken, forgiving, motherly in nature. But I don't want a slave or a doormat. That's boring. I like a challenge." We asked him to clarify, would you say it's their core identity that makes super empaths stand out from regular empaths? It's more of a challenge? Yes. H.G. Tudor, another greater narcissist who has gained online fame for his insights on narcissists, stated that lesser narcissists usually go for regular, codependent empaths because they give and give while expecting nothing in return. It's easy to obtain the narcissistic supply. But like the anonymous narcissist said, they like the challenge. For a self-aware greater narcissist, the real challenge is turning the independent super empath into a codependent. To break down their core identity until it bleeds into theirs would be the ultimate conquest to conquer. If you think you might be a super empath, making you an attractive target for the narcissist, check out our video Signs You're a Super Empath, linked below. Second, the narcissist and super empath must get to know each other. If the super empath has such a strong core identity and high self-esteem, we at Psychology Element wondered how narcissists manage to fool them at all. So we asked the anonymous narcissist, do you have any specific manipulations or moves to attract super empaths? His candid and calculated answer shocked us. Honestly, I employ the same tactic that I use with everyone I interact with. Obviously, if I'm trying to attract someone, I'll dial it up to a further degree. But there's one specific tactic that I always use when charming people, and that tactic is mirroring. Why mirroring? I asked. It works effectively for two reasons. The first is that it puts the other person at ease when they feel like they're talking to themselves through you. We thought that was fascinating and consistent with the research that super empaths are often attracted to narcissists because they see themselves in them. The second reason, he said, is that mirroring disarms them. They're more comfortable when talking to someone they see themselves in. Everything feels more familiar and they let their guards down. It's easier to talk them into things when they're mentally disarmed. Doesn't it get tiring, always mirroring or wearing masks around people? I think it's amusing more than anything. I get a rush switching masks or personas between people. For example, there's a person I know who when I'm around them, I act warm and bubbly. Then, if I get bored, I can move on to another who I act cold and intellectual with. It feels like I'm trying on a new hat, except a new personality for each person I meet. It's safe to say that mirroring and masking is a large part of the process of attracting a super empath. Third, the devaluation games begin with the narcissist. Once the initial attraction stage is ended, the narcissist will begin to deploy manipulation and devaluation tactics onto the super empath. If greater narcissists are self-aware of their traits and maladaptive behaviors, then we had to know more about why they devalue them in the first place. When we asked the anonymous narcissist what the goal of devaluing is, he said, "Usually, the goal is to let them know that they crossed me and to punish them for it. It depends on the context and severity of their behavior, though." We asked him if his behavior, like devaluing, was deliberate. "Yes, I act deliberately," he said. "Sometimes, when in the moment, the specific manipulation tactics I used aren't clear to me, but once I break it down later on, I'm able to easily identify them." Unfortunate for the narcissists, but great for empaths, we're brought to our next point. The super empath doesn't tolerate abuse or mistreatment like a typical empath. A super empath is always willing to listen to their partner's perspective, even if they're being critical. Empaths, unlike narcissists, are receptive to constructive criticism and acknowledge that they have room to improve. However, because of their high self-esteem, they aren't going to absorb all criticism from their partners and take them to heart if they aren't warranted. Due to a super empath's natural good nature, they know when their partner's critiques are valid, because if they had done something worth criticizing, they'd feel remorse. A super empath uses their empathy to feel their partner's pain. They know when the pain was caused as a direct consequence of their actions, and they'll accept responsibility. They can also use their empathy to sense when their narcissistic partner is exaggerating the super empath's wrongdoings and the pain that they suffered at the hands of them. They use their accurate sense of what is morally right and wrong to assess whether they actually deserve the mistreatment, and if they decide the mistreatment isn't warranted, they won't hesitate to hold them accountable. Curious about how the narcissist handles a super empath holding them accountable, we asked the anonymous narcissist how he combats it. Feigning ignorance, such as saying, "I don't know what you're talking about," is a great tool to gaslight people. You are simultaneously deflecting blame while sowing doubt in the accuser's minds. Be sure to check out our other video on 15 other gaslighting phrases manipulators use, linked in the description below, so you can know if you're dealing with a narcissist. Because if you're an empath and you're with someone who feigns ignorance when confronted with a problem, you might want to look back for any other signs of gaslighting. If it's a pattern, you could be dealing with a narcissist and you don't even know. Lastly, eventually, someone needs to win the battle. Because almost all narcissistic relationships turn into a war zone, the chance of a mutual separation or a happily ever after is slim. Instead, there's a clear winner, at least in the narcissist's mind. Scenario 1. The narcissist wins. If the narcissist wins, there will be two potential outcomes. They will either become so frustrated by the super empath harming their fragile egos by not lavishing them with validation and instead holding them accountable for their toxic behaviors, that the narcissist will discard them. Usually, they'll try to discard or break up with them first. It's very important for the narcissist to feel like they're the ones choosing to terminate the relationship. So if they sense that the super empath is too strong-willed for them, they might discard them to beat them to it. Often, the breakup will be cold and painful for the super empath as a last-ditch effort at breaking them. Later, they might even try to hoover them back in, but the super empath usually knows better than to allow that to happen. Or, the alternate way that a narcissist can win is that they successfully wear down the super empath's identity and strength until they're nothing but a codependent shell of their former selves. From there, the narcissist will do whatever they please with the super empaths. They may still choose to discard, as their hollow selves are no longer a challenge to the narcissist, or they'll keep them around as a trophy of their accomplishments. Scenario 2. The super empath will win. If the super empath wins and terminates the relationship first, the narcissist will crumble. They'll idealize and devalue the empath in their minds as the one who got away, while also loathing their existence for rejecting them. If a super empath rejects a greater narcissist, there's a good chance the battle won't end there. From then on, there's a chance of the narcissist conducting smear campaigns against them or repeatedly hoovering the empath to get them back. If you're a super empath who has chosen to leave a narcissist, check out our video, A Super Empath Can Destroy a Narcissist, How and Why, linked in the description below. And if you like this video, check out these related videos to see more. What were your thoughts on our interview with a greater narcissist? Are there any questions you'd like to ask a narcissist? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.